Good morning, and welcome to the 37th and final day of Mac Across America, and the beginning of the longest solo drive I've ever made in my life. The car is telling me that from Santa Fe to Austin is going to take from 7:40 in the morning, right now, all the way until 8:20 tonight, which with the time difference means I'll be showing up at 9:20 p.m. in Austin. So not the longest drive anyone's ever made, not the longest drive I've ever been a part of, but certainly the longest drive I've ever done alone. So yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a soul search. I would have liked to have gotten out of here about an hour earlier, or maybe at the very least at 7 sharp, so I could have grabbed breakfast at the hotel. But I went for a run this morning and proceeded to get stuck behind a train. So I tried to take an alternate route, and when it got dark on that alternate route, I just ran through anyway, tripped over a piece of protruding cement, and gouged the hell out of my knee. So I had to limp back home and clean that up. So yeah, I'm a little bit behind schedule, but I'll just make up for it with driving like a psycho and praying. Today's drive is going to take us into the boonies of New Mexico and Texas. We're going to be passing through Santa Rosa, which is where I visited that wonderful deep pool I jumped in many weeks ago, and then down into Lubbock, and then through the vast nothingness of central Texas, and finally pop out into the green space just a couple hundred miles from Austin. I gotta say goodbye to the mountains, though. I am gonna miss them, and 100%, provided, no crazy extenuating circumstances, I will be back. Oh man, guess who is back on historic Route 66? It's been too long, and this time going the other way. This is going to be a brief sojourn. I'm just here in Santa Rosa to supercharge. And it looks like we're back in the plains, halfway between Fort Sumner, New Mexico, and Clovis, the place where they discovered the first Clovis points that proved people had been in America at least 11,000 years. So, interesting road drama. I was on my way between Santa Rosa and Lubbock, where I still am, and all of a sudden, the car decided to reroute me north through Amarillo over to, and then back down through Lubbock to Abilene, which was going to add an extra 2 hours onto my already miserably long trip, and force me to double back. And so I was like, what the hell? So I looked in, and the Lubbock supercharger was just saying temporarily offline. Well, that was unacceptable. So I called Tesla, and after navigating through the robot voice monstrosity, I was able to get to an actual person who was able to transfer me to another person who was able to then say, oh, okay, we'll check in with this. Turned out that the folks at Lubbock were unaware that there was even an issue, and I lost signal before it was completely resolved. But about 10 minutes later, the car rerouted and took me back to Lubbock, so apparently they got it figured out, whatever it is. So yeah, it turns out that if you have issues with superchargers at any point, just call Tesla, because there's a good chance that they can work it out for you. Oh, I was not looking forward to that Northern John. That was just going to be such a crazy waste of time. And here's the little town of Clovis, site of the original dig for the eponymous culture that pushed back human habitation all the way to 11,000 years ago. Interesting to note that only a couple months ago, some footprints were found at, I believe it was White Sands, pressed into some ashfall or mudfall or something along those lines, that pushed human habitation back all the way to 23,000 BC, pretty uncontrovertibly. So, yeah, those natives were here a really long time ago. Welcome to Texas, where there are quite literally small dogs crossing the street. Yep, just passed through Texaco and Farwell, which I definitely kept thinking was farewell, because it meant farewell to New Mexico. But nope, it's Farwell. Got an hour and 30 to Lubbock. Heading out of Lubbock. As I got here, I had a bit of a damn the torpedoes moment, in which I pretty much saw the supercharger once again go dark and say, oh, you can't be here, you should go north to Amarillo. And I just said, screw it, I can't do that. At this point, it'll add 3 hours onto my trip, and I'm not showing up in Austin at 1 o'clock a.m. Sorry. So I just went to the supercharger anyway and hoped for the best. And lo and behold, the best happened. The supercharger still worked, so I got close to a full charge, and now I'm on my way off to Sweetwater. I got that, and then one more stop in Llano, and then finally, I'll be in Austin. Right now, the schedule says that should take place around 10:30 p.m. But that assumes a lot of traffic, which I don't think I'll run into because the timing will be a lot different. You can tell we're in Texas because it is oil country. Look at those rigs off to the left and right all over. Normally I would say, well, maybe this is just oil land and it's dedicated to oil. But look, there's cattle grazing on it. Further back, I saw a number of what looked like small farms, and each one had a little baby oil rig just pumping away in one corner. It really is a huge part of this economy. Texas is actually, if I remember correctly, the third largest economy in the country, and a lot of the reason for that is oil. Look at this. Endless land, endless rigs. What's not to love except the smell? The smell is actually like burning asphalt, and it's pretty bad. Have you ever heard the concept of a wall of rain? Because I think I'm looking at a wall of rain. It's nice and sunny here, but that is foreboding. Another free car wash. Well, it's my last video, and the sun's going down, so this feels like the right time to go over lessons learned. One, crossing the country in an electric vehicle is totally possible now, but there are still a lot of places that you can't go. Like, I couldn't visit Chaco Canyon because there was simply no good charging spot. So while the infrastructure for it is getting there, it still has some distance to climb. But I think that it'll get there soon enough. Two, it's amazing how little you need. I brought 4 suitcases, plus a camping backpack, and all of them were pretty much packed with gear. But except for the couple really intense hiking days, I really didn't need much of that gear. I probably could have gotten away, had I done laundry a little more frequently, with what fits in 2 suitcases, plus a tent. So if I were to do this again next time, I could probably pack a lot lighter. 3, this is probably the most important part, it pays to be bold. There were several times when I didn't know where I was going to get my charge, but I figured it out, and it worked out just fine. Going down into the Grand Canyon, even though I was scared to do that whole trip, knowing how many people pass out and how difficult it is, it was one of the most profound experiences of my life. Seeing the Colorado River cutting its way through that canyon almost brought me to my knees. It was breathtaking in an almost spiritual way. And yeah, save the and everywhere has a gift shop. I would say that's number 4. Everywhere has a gift shop. So if you're ever worried about mementos, you'll be able to find them no matter what. But I think that there was a huge benefit in bringing the camera instead to record everything. So that way, if I want to remember this trip, instead of having to have expensive kitsch, I could remember it by videos. And so all my kitsch money could go towards something really beautiful, like those paintings from Santa Fe. So that's it. I think those are my primary travel lessons learned. You can pack lighter than you think. You can, if you're bold, you can get away with a lot more than you think. And it's a lot easier to remember these things than it used to be because you can just bring a camera. So I think aside from a little footage coming into town, maybe in the dark where the GoPro doesn't work so well, this is going to be my my last Mac Across America spiel. So until next time, I got a big trip to India coming up in 2 months, and I'll probably record that one too. But until then, I think I'm going to have to say my final good night. Oh, I'm really sad I didn't catch this on camera, but me and the couple guys in front of me, we all got stuck behind this really slow van, and we were sitting behind him for like probably 15 miles. And then the moment that the road got to the point where you could see a really long ways and there was no one coming, we all just rocketed up. Like it was an absolute chaotic free-for-all. that finally put us all in front of that guy, because dear Lord, oh, that was something to watch. Like, just jockeying in this left lane, trying to all get in front. Yeah, I just thought I'd remember that. Fast forward 5.5 hours, and there she is, glowing against the eastern sky. Oh, for those that know me, there is a supreme silly coincidence that I return home along Southwest Parkway. But I'm back. After the places I've gone and the things I've seen, I hope Austin can continue to measure up, because wow, has this been an adventure. Here's Austin, up close and personal. Look at that omnichrome sparkle. It may not have the size or magnificence of LA or New York, but it's beautiful, and it's home. This is Mac, and this has been Mac Across America. I'm finally back after this long odyssey, wishing you one final good night.